Hello and welcome to the wrong button. There we go. Hello and welcome to today's today's CosmoQuest office hours. I am currently trying to recover from a complete computer crash. So please pardon me while I try and get everything booted up and running. And due to the computer crash, I didn't have a chance to go get my second cup of coffee. So there's going to be a certain amount of sadness. Over on CosmoQuest, I have my audio mostly set up so that it's foolproof. So as long as I grab the correct microphone, it will work. The trick is remembering which microphone I'm supposed to be on. Normally this would be Annie Wilson, but she is off celebrating Father's Day today. And I hope that any of you out there who are fathers are having the kind of day you want, whether it mean that your children are off entirely somewhere else and you have a quiet day to do what you will, or you're spending the day with family, if that is what you want. So I hope everyone is having the kind of day they desire. I am almost booted up. Progress is being made. Fenmill, thank you for all the bits. That was kind of amazing. And today is actually, if I can get my computer to finish booting up, it's still working on this in the background. Part of today's plan is going to be words. They're hard. Is going to be working on figuring out scale of the universe and potentially making little Twitch animations to scale with the scale of the universe. Or scale of things in the universe. I think that's a more accurate way to put it. So I'm just pulling out the chat, and in a moment I'm going to be switching screens over. Yes, Kalachin, there is such a myriad of different dates available out there for people to pick from, and my computer is still booting up. Come on, computer. Why are you so sad? Well, I know why you're so sad. I, yesterday, was at a friend's wedding and did the photography and dumped 32 gigabytes of pictures on my hard drive overnight. And I suspect my computer is now very sad. So please feel free to shoot any and all astronomy questions at me while I work on figuring out what the heck is going on my local computer. It looks like I'm going out all green, so hopefully all the computer issues on my end are not affecting the quality you're getting on your end. Other than I can't really switch which profile I'm using because things are like totally crashing around me. I am surrounded by little whirly rainbows of Mac death. Yeah, so Fenmel, I was like actually the wedding photographer yesterday. Yeah, my computer currently hates my guts. I don't blame it. I would hate my guts too if I did that to it. Or if I had that done to me. Mornings, they're hard. Yeah, so I actually was shooting in extra large JPEGs, Guido, and I still managed to do that. I took a lot of photos. It happens. It happens for the good. I do actually have one hell of a camera. Yeah, DPI 209. And by a few hundred, I mean it was a little over 1,000. So yeah. Yeah, Guido, I knew that there was no way I could fit everything raw on my camera. Okay, so my computer is claiming that it has plenty of free space, so it's just still suffering from indexing issues. You throw that many computers on a Mac, and it's just like, I shall index and index some more, and I am still indexing. So my computer is apparently still indexing. These are the things that happen. The wedding was fabulous. It was the only thing anyone could complain about was that we're under a heat advisory. So even though they planned that with June it should be fairly cool, it was about 40 Celsius, and that's just no. It was quite good. Wow, I still have a whirly rainbow. So, yeah, Paranor, it was hot. My camera can deal with it kind of better than I think the humans can. I accidentally ended up stealing one of the bridesmaids' makeup fixer because it got stuck in my camera bag, because while the bridesmaids had pockets, you still don't want to have everything in the world in your pockets. And we were quite makeup was melting off of faces if we didn't fix it in place. So yes, there was that. But it all worked out well. It's just my computer is currently hating on me. Okay, so I seem to have killed off all the whirly rainbows of death. Progress has been made. So what I wanted to do, if I'm going to be allowed to open another browser, yes, I am. So what I wanted to work on was, we need distance scales for a lot of different things, size scales for a lot of different things. And I was going to work on putting together a quick spreadsheet on the scale sizes of different things. And the eventual goal is to turn these in to bits animations and just an animation in general on what are the scale sizes in our universe. Now, this is going to start out simple with if the distance from the sun to Mercury, and we're going to do everything measured off the sun because the Earth goes round and round the sun, and it seems better to use a non-stationary but more stationary in our coordinate system for doing all of these distance scales. So I am going to designate a bunch of different one distance parameters. So the first thing I'm going to use as a one is the distance from the sun to Mercury. If I can get a window to open, Wow, my computer is hateful. So I'm currently working on a 2012 iMac. And while it was like as powerful as I could afford in 2012, it's now 2018. As soon as a new computer comes out, I will get one. So the problem is, Paranor, we don't know. There was a chance. I was so hopeful. I was so very hopeful. There was a chance that new computers were coming out at Worldwide Developers Conference a couple weeks ago, that first full week of June. But they didn't. And since they didn't, we probably have to wait till October. That's the normal timing of the next big Mac announcement. And so I'm going to have to stay tuned for that. But the money I had saved up for a laptop is instead going to be going to replacing some of the carpeting in our house that we've been meaning to replace since we bought the house in 2006. And then I will start going back to saving money again. So no, I'm not getting a PC. The idea of like the ecosystem that I'm working in, they get you trapped. They get you trapped in an ecosystem, and I'm trapped in an ecosystem. I live in the Google, Apple ecosystems, and Windows is not, I have no software licenses, nothing for that ecosystem. Anyways, wow, I have all the whirly rainbows today. Okay, I'm just going to have to sit here quietly while my computer contemplates, because I think it's indexing. I don't actually have to be quiet. I just have to not type so my computer can't hear me. Absolutely appropriate use of accretion disk emoji. Yeah, Apple is very behind on updating their hardware, at least their desktop hardware. They gave us a tremendous update to their highest end workstations. They have given us tremendous updates at the iPhone, iPad end of their ecosystem. The middle part, they were waiting for new chips to come out from Intel. That finally happened, I think, in March. And I don't think they've had time to integrate i9 with special software that can build on the abilities of the new hardware yet. So here's to hoping that in October we get i9 MacBook Pros and iMacs. So, Bill Wink, yes, most of the amateur image processing software is for PCs. This is because the majority of amateur astronomers are already using Windows machines because they tend to work in business environments. When it comes to professional astronomy software, we're all running Macs, and this is because so many of the dominant software from the Spark Sun era, from before Oracle bought Sun, was all written for Solaris, and then Linux came out and things got rewritten for Linux. And then when OS X came out, suddenly we could have our Microsoft products side by side with our Adobe products, side by side with all of our astronomy custom software in one box, and we all switched to Mac. So while yes, Linux rocks, you still can't run Microsoft native software, and OpenOffice isn't always quite good enough. So that was an interesting ad. Automod. So Paranor, you didn't just do that? Sorry, we're now having Automod technical difficulties. Okay, Paranor, see if you can figure out how to remove that from the permitted, because that's just plain creepy, and you may need to change your password just for sanity. Weird. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, Fenmel, so Klachin Rubsut, I have no clue how you actually say your username. I would love a phonetic pronunciation of it. Wrote, Hugin is cross-platform, and Automod prevented it, and then insanity occurred. And yeah, Paranor, I agree with you everywhere. So Paranor, I think Automod lost its mind. Because I'm immensely paranoid, which fits with your username, I would maybe consider changing your password just in case there are ghosts in the system. And now I am having random mouse clicks occur on a different window. So my computer is also losing its mind. So I've been hearing, we just had all sorts of craziness occur where AutoMod suddenly added a term that should not have been added to its list of permitted terms and blamed it on Paranor and blocked someone for no reason. And wow. So I've been hearing a lot of people talking about how Twitch has been twitchy since last Saturday, which is when they installed a whole bunch of software updates. And so one of the things that both brings my black little heart glee when I see this happen and makes me completely understand the situation these poor folks are in is software is super easy to screw up. And when you're in a testing environment, you don't always catch all the things that have gone wrong that just don't happen to be things that ever occur in your testing environment. So it's easy to create all sorts of software that you test, you finesse, as near as you and everyone on your end can tell, everything works perfectly. And Peter's using the Facebook example. Now, Facebook has bazillions of users. I don't know if it's millions or billions at this point. So I'm just going to go with the not specifically defined number of bazillions. And so with Facebook, what they can do is they take their software and they'll say, okay, only people with these kinds of user profiles can see this software. And they do a restricted rollout, a small number of users, a larger number of users, a larger number of users, and then if all goes well, all the users. And with this kind of a gradual rollout, Facebook is able to get significant testing of what they're trying to do accomplished. And this allows them to, unless you are one of the poor, innocent, small group testers, to get everything fixed before they push to their entire environment. And for a lot of things, Twitch will say, we're going to push these features to partners first. We're going to push these features to partners and select affiliates. And then we're going to push these features to all streamers. But when it comes to content consumers, it's a little bit harder. And sometimes the testing they do with partners is like everything shows up goodness and light. So they just push, which is what happened last Saturday, as near as I can tell. And then it turns out that with all of the customized overlays we have, with the network of all the different everything in between Twitch and the users, things sometimes break. And things broke. Now, getting back to the joy my black little heart feels about this, as a computer programmer, one of the things that I deal with a lot is I don't work in a commercial company. I work in a little tiny nonprofit. And so we don't always have a lot of scale for what's acceptable and what's not. And the word that we get down from on high is 0 bugs are acceptable. Failure is not an option. Every cookie shall be perfect. And because I live in a world where my entire life the expectation has been set that you are personally a failure if a bug goes public, seeing that companies that have vast resources, top-level programmers that are paid 2 to 3 times what I'm paid and 5 to 6 times what my students are paid, because I can only give students so big a salary and Silicon Valley has unicorns. to see that these big companies have bugs too is deeply satisfying, because it's like, okay, this confirms I live in a reality of false expectations. And it's not that I am personally a bad manager. It is not that our group has bad testing processes. It's that everyone has bugs. Everyone poops. Everyone has bugs. These are realities of the unicorn. And yes, Paranor, unicorns with squatty potties, and don't go knocking the squatty potties till you try them. Today has gone completely sideways. I think I may finally, half an hour in, have a computer that is done resetting all the things it wanted to reset. I'm going to try and see if I can get a couple windows open. There could be bugs just about anywhere. Peter, yes, that does happen to some individuals. I am sorry that is your reality. And yeah, Leo VDD. It's the issue we run into is if there was a design spec and someone is upset that something in the design spec doesn't look exactly the way they thought it would look in a particular browser, we have very, very high expectations of everything. Anyways, I am working to pull up a list of the distances between suns and planets. And my internets are slow. I wonder if the problem isn't just my local computer. I wonder if the internet itself is having a breakdown today. I don't see any of the rest of you complaining, though, so these things happen. Aha. My sleepy Sunday has been greatly disturbed by my computer. I almost have the starts of what I want opened up. And the chat has completely derailed. I'm not disagreeing with anything in the chat. It has simply completely derailed. And I am deeply amused. Deeply, deeply amused. Okay. Okay. Wow. Like, I can watch the emojis render slowly in the chat. We are all indeed on the rails, and the question is, are we tied down, and how far away is the train? So Paranor, you can either be a train that fell off the rails, or you can be on the rails in the path of the train. I'm not sure which analogy is more appropriate today. Slowly loads the page. Okay, let me see if I can switch to a different screen without destroying everything. Okay, I can. I just have things lined up on my screen. Stupid. So, goal number 1 is going to be to start recording distance scales in this window for a variety of different objects. So here I'm going to have sun actually, here I'm going to have object. I'm going to have distance in kilometers. Sorry, distance in Merc. So this is Mercury, distance from the sun, so D. Mercury. Here we're going to have AUs, just to have all the things, kilometers and light years. So we're going to work on figuring all these things out. Now the reason I'm starting with a D Mercury is I'm going to use the distance from the sun to Mercury as 1. And the reason I'm doing this is because when you're creating scale models of things, it's often useful to not have fractional distances. And since I want to do a model that includes Mercury, having 1 equal the Sun-Mercury distance seems useful. I am having so many whirly rainbows today. Oh, man, hateful computer. Okay. Now, I am pulling up Fraser's Universe Today page to work on finding these distances. Oh, Fraser, you want me to subscribe to things. I know you do. And you totally can't see that, so I'm going to rearrange which side of my screen is on, because Fraser's stuff is all over on the left. And I'm going to force Fraser's stuff into the mobile setup. There we go. So there is that, then there is that, and let me move the kilometers. Oh, I can't just drag in here. I'm going to get a whirly rainbow again. Dang it. Down with the whirly rainbows. Down with the whirly rainbows. Okay, it let me drag. I like the way you put that, Paranor. And lasagna noodles or some other kind of noodles. So Peter, I have off and on had a subscription, but it's not like I get one for free. So currently I don't have one because I haven't been going to Fraser's site enough to be annoyed into getting one. Okay, so we have sun, and I'm going to add in radius as well. Insert column left, radius. I'm going to move this down 1 column and just kind of make this more sensible because I'm going to use this for a bunch of different things, I think. Oh, whirly rainbow. Hateful, hateful internet or computer. I suspect it's my computer. No special freebies. No. He's given me many, many freebies over the years, but I suspect that giving me a freebie on Universe Today is just annoying bookkeeping. So it's all good. It's all good. And I'm sure I could just ask, but I haven't. So he gets my ad revenue. And I can't, there we go. It's going to stop having whirly rainbow. So I'm going to attempt to highlight those and merge the cells and center the cells and get rid of the excess per menu. So this is distance. This is in kilometers too. So the sun is not listed here, which is fine. So distance to the sun, since it's the center, is going to be 0. And I'm going to make these thinner in a moment and catch up on my missing light years. So let's get everything to fit. Now, a lot of people don't realize quite how much math goes into a good animation. And this is what I'm trying to get at today. I was expecting to do a whole lot more today than I'm going to get to. Heavy rain right now, no hail. Okay, that is not useful. And I have a whirly rainbow. What's fascinating is I'm seeing the chat on the OBS overlay faster than I'm seeing it down in the thank you for the sub, faster than I'm seeing it in the chat. Thank you for gifting that, Fenmil. Yes, I am a real doctor. I have a PhD in astronomy from the University of Texas, where I studied the evolution of galaxy clusters at a variety of different distances and masses. This is called the Butcher-Ohmler effect, where we see that the most massive galaxy clusters turned red early in the universe, and the lowest mass galaxy clusters are still evolving stars on a regular basis. And I have a computer that is just like kind of done with me today. All right, so returning to our goal of setting all of these different things. So the average distance to Mercury is 57 E. It's 36E6 miles, and I'm going to demand that my computer works in scientific notation, because really otherwise this will not be pretty. It's still not going to be pretty, but at least it will all fit a little bit better. Okay, so here we are working in scientific notation. Yes, Guido, that is an excellent name. Yeah, for me, I'm still going to be Star Strider. What news out of Glasgow, Peter? I haven't seen that. So now I'm intrigued about Glasgow. So the distance to Venus is going to be equal to, its average is 108 E6 kilometers. So if Mercury is equal to 1, then this is going to be equal to this number, which will change on a regular basis, divided by this number. And I want to always calculate off of that. So I am going to do $4 right there. Okay. And I want this to be a regular number. For now, I may regret all my life choices later. So Venus is 1.89 times Mercury's distance away from the sun. Oh my gosh, I didn't hear that the building had burned. That's horrifying. That was an architectural symbol. Oh, so they lost a bunch of art as well. I always hope that when these things catch on fire, it's like the gift shop, the snack shop. I don't know there's certain things that really get me on how do they not have proper fire systems built in with sprinklers and stuff. Apartment buildings, I get. People disable shit all the time, but it's an art museum. Anyways, I'm now going to get ranty if I'm not careful. So Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, asteroids, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, inner, Kuiper, outer. I should do the same thing with the asteroids, actually. Let me make the asteroids 2 lines as well. So let's do inner, Kuiper. No, sorry, this should be inner asteroids, and now I've completely confused this poor software. Outer. My computer is so not liking me. Asteroid belt. And let's make this asteroid belt, because really there's asteroids everywhere, and saying inner and outer asteroids doesn't make sense. This should be belt as well. Oh, thank you, Paranor. There's some things you don't turn off. Splinter systems is one of the sprinkler and halogen systems are those things. Thank you, Peter. I have screwed up the word naval in fascinating ways many times because there's a U.S. Naval Observatory, and the way you spell that and the way you spell navel oranges are not the same thing. So interesting things one can screw up. Let's do planet 9, maybe. Let's do inner Oort. Oort has 2 O's. Let's do outer Oort. So these are going to be the numbers I need to work on a scale model that we can go in and we can go out. So why did they move in paintings if they hadn't finished the safety systems? That's sort of like saying we're going to allow people to go up and down this set of stairs that has no railing in this public facility because why not? It's just kind of asking for death. Hey, fellow hoodlum. It's late at night where you are, isn't it? Trying to do my time zones don't always succeed. And my turtle is jumping again. There's my mouse. I may have one of the more stupid turtles known to man. I love my turtle. My turtle is dumb. So the Earth is an average of 150 E6, which is, in Mercury distances, 2.63. Mars is an average distance of 228 E6. It is sometimes just way more amusing to do things in terms of Mercury distances. So this doesn't list the asteroid belt. I'll have to go hunting for that information and mock Fraser gently later. So there's Jupiter. So the primary thing I'm going to use this for is trying to do bits that scale, like the cheers that scale with the size of the solar system and beyond. And then I'm also going to work on some animations using this. Okay, so Saturn is... Oh, did I miss with Jupiter? I switched to billions. No, Jupiter was still in millions. Okay, so we have now switched to billions. Hello, Saturn. You are an average of 1.43 E9. Uranus is 2.88 E9. Neptune is 4.5 E9. And this doesn't have Kuiper belt. It does have Pluto, but I don't care, because Pluto is part of the Kuiper belt, and we shall celebrate it as being part of the Kuiper belt. So let's look up Kuiper belt on Wikipedia, and I forgot a space, but Google is being kind. Yeah, turtles be turtles. My turtle is Odd. Can we go with Odd Fenmill? He likes to try and jump up after bugs, but he's not smart enough to try and find food floating on the water of his tank unless I tap. Yeah, the Naval Observatory has done amazing work over many, many decades. It's cool that you knew someone there, Peter. Yes, Pluto is definitely the body sitting there saying that, and doing it with heart, because Pluto does everything with heart. No, it's not the nearest. There's actually nearer objects. And one of the things we're still working to try and disentangle is what objects where are asteroids, so primarily rocky, versus comet material, which means primarily icy. And so we're looking at a continuum of what you call a innermost Kuiper belt object versus an outermost asteroid. There's so many things that we're trying to figure out. So Paranor, what are you quoting from? Which mission is that? It's all right to screw up things, Paranor. I misplace objects all the time. Okay, so here we want structure. Scrolling. Okay, so we have, those are the resonances. I want to know the distances. There we go. It should be in this graph. Semi-major axis in astronomical units. So it goes basically from 30 to 60. And I have a whirly rainbow again. Sorry, I only got one cup of coffee this morning. The Japanese know how to build their spacecraft. Hayabusa 2 is doing some excellent work. Hayabusa is JAXA. I just started reading that particular tweet and thought you were going to be tweeting about New Horizons, and then the rest of the sentence confused me. Oh, and I apparently missed the word Hayabusa entirely. Did I mention I only had one cup of coffee so far today? Okay, but my whirly rainbow has gone away. So, looking to see if there's more information. Histogram of the semi-major axes of Kuiper belt objects with inclinations above and below 5 degrees. So it looks like the ones that are in the plane of the galaxy, not plane of the galaxy, plane of the solar system, really go from about 32 AU to 56 AU. And here I'm going to do 1 AU in kilometers. I'm not sure why it's suggesting inches. That seems like a really strange unit to convert to. So we have, I'm going to put the distance to the Earth in much more accurate terms so that I can use it to convert from AUs. So 496 E8, and it's going to round. Okay. Now, my inner and outer Kuiper belt objects. You can't see what I'm typing. Let me try and figure out how to get all of this on. Okay. I'm gonna figure this out. It's just gonna take me a minute. Okay, sad little histogram. And let me close some of these bookmark bars so you can see better. There we go. We always need more coffee. So this is going to be a fairly short stream. I'm going to finish up this particular chart and then probably call it a day because I have a stream for Astronomy Cast Patreons. It's a closed stream for our patrons that I do at 2 p.m. local, and I need to put some food in my belly. So I'm going to go find some food to put in my belly. And if you check out my personal Twitter account, you'll see all the different stuff going on. Thank you, Sir Chechko. I'd love a phonetic pronunciation of your name. Thank you so much for the follow. We really appreciate it. So looking at the inner and the outer asteroid belt, I have inner is at 32 AU, outer is at about 55 AU, and so converting this to kilometers, I want to do, this is equal to this times the Earth's distance. So there's the Earth's distance, and I want to put a $sign in so I can copy and paste this and have it work for different things. So there's that one, and there's that one. Now, the thing that has me confused is this is showing the inner and outer belt as not overlapping with Neptune. So I'm going to verify Neptune. Neptune is 4.55 billion. I'm now feeling suspicious of this graph simply because, like, Pluto goes inside of Neptune's orbit. Now, admittedly, Pluto's orbit is highly variable. I guess its average is 5.91, and I'm dealing with averages, so okay, this is fine. These are average distances. Okay. Let's get asteroids and asteroid belt. I should be able to find on Wikipedia as well. So for those of you who haven't turned into this particular stream before, it is usually far more interesting. I'm just right now going through the background maths that is required before I do a bunch of animations showing the scale size of our solar system. And this particular stream is part of what I get to do for my day job. So this is brought to you by CosmoQuest, which is a multi-institutional collaboration. You'll see me streaming here. You'll see Dr. Matt Richardson, who is part of the Planetary Science Institute, streaming. This particular slot is normally taken by Annie Wilson, who's at Youngstown State University. And we all work together to put science in your brain, and this multi-institutional collaboration is coordinated through my employer, the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. Now, I do also stream personally, but as this is my work position, I can tell you, if you follow me personally on Twitter, I promote all of our stuff, but I probably shouldn't say anything more than that. So I see your discussion in the chat. I acknowledge your discussion in the chat. I'm trying to be respectful of the fact that this is part of my day job. And what we do at the Astronomical Society of the Pacific is we focus on trying to get science in your brains. So we work on things like, if you click over to CosmoQuest.org, you'll find that we do a lot of work writing software to allow people to map out other worlds, including our own world Earth, which sometimes is starting to feel like another planet, at least than the one we grew up on. And in addition to doing what we do for citizen science, we produce a bunch of different online streaming content that will hopefully teach you the science you need to know to do better in your own astronomical pursuits. So hopefully you will join us across all of our different platforms as we work to get you learning and doing science. Now, the Astronomical Society of the Pacific is also the home institution, along with Universe Today, for Astronomy Cast podcast. If you haven't listened to that before, I recommend that you check it out at some point. Not right now, please. Hang around a little bit longer. And as we work on all of this different content, it all works to kind of feed in together. There should be green. There should always be green, Fenmel. You have convinced me of this factor. I agree. There should always be green. So the one more number I need to look up. Let me show you what all we have so far. The one number I still need to look up is the expected average distance to planet 9 and then the Oort cloud. Now I'm going to have to do a little bit more hunting to go find those. But this starts to give you a sense that it's actually pretty feasible to start to figure out how to do a reasonable scale model using Mercury distance as 1. Now, with Mercury, the Sun Mercury distance as 1, we have all of the inner planets within 4 Mercury distances. So they're packed in pretty tight. Jupiter then jumps us out to about 14. And we can fit the entire observable with telescopes part of the solar system in with just 144 units. This means I can start to envision doing easy animations that are maybe only 300 pixels wide, that I can, if I stick the sun in the corner, I can stick all of the orbits within and do it to scale. Kind of diorama, and not so much diorama time as animation time. So next time I'm here, and I may come back later today to do some of this, it depends on how the rest of my day goes, I will be working on this. Now, just to give you a quick roundup, now that I quite happily have achieved what I was planning to do today, half of what I was planning today. I was planning to also do an initial animation, but I spent 30 minutes fighting my computer, for which I am so sorry. It's definitely going to get another reboot or two between the here and the next screen. So what you can expect coming up on CosmoQuest. Tomorrow I will be here at 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. London, that's 10 a.m. Pacific, to bring you yet another episode of The Daily Space. This is a fast-paced roundup of all that is new in astronomy and space science, and I will take your questions afterwards. I may, depending on how much is going on, do a slightly longer version and highlight some of what's going on with the Gaia mission. Tuesday, we will yet again have the Daily Space, and then Tuesday night, I will be back here working on putting together software to visualize a hot Jupiter having a bad day. And of course, Skyly has now just joined us, so I feel the need to keep streaming with all of these new viewers popping in. We just got an auto host from Skylius and an auto host from Michael. So do you guys want me to hang out for another bit and work on trying to animate these planets? I think I can do something, or at least I can draw all of the circles kind of quickly using processing. This will give us a chance at a good scale version of things. So I'm going to go ahead, open up processing, which is a Java-based animation routine that's super easy to use. I'm suddenly getting all the auto hosting. Someone must have just gone off air, and I ended up with all of their humans. So welcome, new humans. Auto hosts are always appreciated. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and processing is yelling at me that I haven't updated it yet. And that's okay. It can be as shouty as it wants. So what I'm going to do is switch back over to my programming setup. And I'm going to put together a skinnier everything I need distances, tuck this up in the corner of my screen. Now what I'm going to do with processing, hello processing, is I'm going to start by saying I want to save this, because really I have learned that if I don't start by doing this, I will forget to save things with useful names. If you like yourself, use useful names. Oh, I have a whirly rainbow again. I know, I'm going to need to go get food. So I'm looking to see what happens to everything going on here. Yes, always be kind to your future self and comment your code. So I'm going to name this scale model. Not that you can see, because that part of my screen isn't currently being shared. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and I have lying things on my screen. Let me kill off the lying things. There, we have killed off the lying things. Now, the way processing works is I can simply say, hey, I want to set up, I have to type things correctly. I want to, and I need to put a void in front of this because it tightly casts even my functions. I'm just going to do a static drawing for now. So I'm going to say I want I believe it's size of 500. Let's do 300. 300 by 300 for my canvas, and I want it to no loop. And I'm going to make sure I did both of those correct by pressing play. Hello, you did nothing. Could you please do something, software? There we go. Wow, my computer is slow. My computer is so slow today. Okay, so we have a little tiny canvas. And my code doesn't need to be that wide. So there's our little tiny canvas. And to rearrange my screen some more, here are my scale sizes. So what I want to do next is I want to draw things. So I am going to just draw circles for each of my little worlds. Now, at some point, I'll tie this all into a database. For today, I'm just going to do this super simple. So I want to draw, first of all, I want to draw a sun. And for the sun, I'm just going to draw a little tiny ellipse. And this should default to being filled in if I am correct. And I'm going to do this scaled by a factor of... The sun won't even fit. Who am I kidding? I'm going to do Mercury here. Wow, can't type Mercury. I'm going to do an ellipse centered at 0, 0, and I'm going to do it with a diameter of 2. I'm going to do next Venus, and I'm going to still draw a circle centered at 0, 0. This time I'm going to do Venus is 1.89, which is basically 2. I can't draw a circle with an integer number of pixels for a radius, so I'm going to be rounding these things. So it's going to be a circle. Now, I could, if I wanted to, go through and draw all of these with the correct ellipticities, but our planets have such small ellipticities that I don't think at the scale it would show up. My dog has become offended at something in the backyard. Sorry about that. Venus, Earth is going to be next with a ellipse of 0, 0. That becomes 6. So 3.62 is 5.2, so that's actually 5. And I'm forgetting my semicolons. The sun is technically green. It would totally be perceived as white because our eyeballs just can't quite cope. Human eyeballs make things occasionally have much less interesting colors than they actually have. Why? Spameters like... Oh, I needed to give this another parameter. 5. So Mars is going to be at 8, 8. So centered at 0, located at 8. I love the fact that Mercury is essentially exactly 4 times Mercury's distance from the sun. I hadn't realized that till now. I wonder what other kinds of things like that we could find using different ratios. Yeah, Eddie really does want another big red ball, but when the expensive giant big red ball that I buy lasts under 3 minutes, I become sad and I write the company who doesn't respond. And then I am a nice person, so I don't rage against the company. On Twitter the way I could have, and I apparently don't get a new red ball for Eddie. So for those not in the know on the story, I bought my dog a giant red ball that didn't last more than 3 minutes, but was designed for horses, and I'm deeply confused at how the giant red ball I bought that was designed for horses didn't sustain my Australian Shepherd. Okay, so Saturn Ellipse. Again, I could, should I choose to, actually get the ellipticity in. That is for another day when I'm working on different things. Okay, so Saturn, Uranus is next. And then, so Uranus is going to be 0, 0. So Uranus is almost twice, but actually a little bit more than twice. It should actually be 101 of Saturn's distance from the Sun. And part of what we're seeing is our solar system, but not other solar systems, holds up as near as we can tell to a weird mathematical reality called Bode's Law that just has all of the planet distances essentially being multiples of one another. So 79 times 2 is essentially 80 times 2 minus 4. So 160 minus 4 is 156. I just did new math, please forgive me. Okay, so I'm pressing play, and I forgot to say no fill. So it drew everything quite correctly. It then just filled everything in. Okay. So on this scale, you can't even see all those different numbers. Now, what I should have done is instead of typing 2s in and things like that, I should have typed 2 times Mercury distance to make this all scalable. So this is easy to adjust. Let me go ahead and do that real fast, because that I can do with copy and paste. So I'm going to do int d Mercury equals, and I'm going to start scaling this out by a factor of 2. Actually, I'm going to factor this out by a factor of 4. And so this is times d. Wow, can't type. Merc. You don't realize how much you use your peripheral vision when touch typing until you have a microphone blocking your touch typing. And I'm going to point out that copy and paste was totally designed for right-handed people, and when you're a lefty, you have to use the wrong half of your keyboard unless you really want to be jumping your hand between your mouse and your keyboard. So this is just one more thing the universe is designed against the lefties of the world who all must unite. Okay. I am a sinister person with a cold, dark heart that relishes in other people's computer bugs. So now you start to see here's our solar system, and I can make this even, let's make this even bigger by making this 600 pixels by 600 pixels, making this an 8, and pressing play. So here are our Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Here are our different distances. And so the next thing I'll need to do is add in the asteroid belt, add in the Kuiper belt. But for now, I think this is an excellent start. So I'm going to take a break for a little while. I will be joining everyone who supports us on Patreon for Astronomy Cast for our weekly private feed. So if you are an Astronomy Cast fan, URL should be over on Patreon. And yes, as is getting pointed out down in the chat, Astronomy Cast will be recording our 500th episode in September live to, well, whoever shows up. And we're going to see if we can stream it, but we haven't heard yet if the hotel the theater we're renting has the right kind of internet to support a live stream. But if you want to show up and join us for all the shenanigans, we will be spending Saturday hanging out, talking science, doing activities, and hopefully even having a star party. Daytime events will be at a local brew pub. Sunday, we are going to be over at a indie theater across the street to do live recording from the stage. So if you'd like to join us, please consider giving it a registration. We are asking for a $50 non-refundable deposit. This allows us to secure all the spaces. Unfortunately, while we do wish we could do this entirely for free for you, we do have to rent buildings, and if we get extra people coming that are required to cover our costs, we will be putting it into food and beverages and making this an amazing event. The total cost will be $200 due before things start. All the details, including exactly what I mean by before things start, can all be found at astronomycast.com. Click on the Trips tab. So thank you for joining me today and bringing the science and having patience with all of my technology confusion. May you never bog down your computer by putting 32 gigabytes of photos on it. So next stream, as I said, will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. London, 1 p.m. Boston, 10 a.m. Vancouver. And it will be the daily space. So I hope to see you then. And remember, if you like what you see, please give us a follow. If you want to support our efforts, please consider sustaining us through your subscription, and every little bit really helps. So wherever you are in the world, please consider having a fabulous morning, evening, or afternoon. And remember, look up at those stars that we all share. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.